It's weird, right? Whatever. Might as well check it out. Haven't seen a horror movie that's actually scared me in a while. That was the last text Lacey sent me before she went missing. I know it's irrational, but I hate myself for not doing something. And for not stopping her, but how was I supposed to know? You know, how could I have anticipated anything that was going to happen after? The film, or whatever the hell it is, made its way into our small town like a plague only a few days ago. 12 people bought tickets for it. 12 people are now missing. Among them was Lacey, my girlfriend for over 2 years. At the risk of sounding like that guy, our future was looking nothing but promising. We had plans. I mean, we did. Until Mr. fucking Blank showed up. This is nowhere near a conventional missing persons case, of course. The rabbit hole goes deeper here, and honestly, the details simply don't make any sense. From what I managed to dig up, this is a general timeline of what had happened. An option to buy tickets for the film shows up at one of the 3 theaters in our town, which is about a 20-minute walk from my house. Only that one. And it wasn't available online, only at the front counter of the theater itself. It wasn't supposed to be in the regular rotation. Also, none of the employees of the theater were informed about any special screenings. They simply came in and saw that it replaced a 5:30 p.m. slot for a pre-existing film. They didn't question it because, I mean, why would they? The first and only screening is at 5:30 p.m. on that day. I mean, the theater wasn't the busiest, but it wasn't empty either. Of course, most people opted to skip it, given the lack of any information regarding the film. But that being said, the only people who bought tickets were younger, likely curious about the odd title. The film lasted about an hour and 10 minutes, with all the previews and credits considered. Pretty short for a feature, right? At 6:40 p.m., an employee entered the theater for cleanup duty. What he found were rows and rows of empty seats. Drink cups still in the holders, popcorn littered all over the floors. No blood. No signs of a struggle. Nobody had left or entered the theater after the film had begun. With confirmation from the security cameras, the theater itself had no camera inside, so that part remains a mystery. The screen allegedly consisted of nothing but a dark static. I mean, that's what we were told, at least. I have a feeling that some details were left out from there, considering the fact that the employees in question are now missing as well, also rumored to have gone into a catatonic state after being questioned. The manager of the theater, who never greeted the employees that morning, as he usually did, was found dead in his office, with severe wounds around his neck, left from a plastic bike lock that was likely used to strangle him. And a new employee was hired about 3 weeks prior. The other employees described him as quiet, but a nice guy. He was working the day of the incident. You guessed it. He's missing as well. Also suspect number 1 in the investigation, however, they're really grasping for straws at that one. I wouldn't doubt that this employee had something to do with it, but the logistics behind the whole situation just aren't cohesive enough to make that call for sure. Some additional details. No copy of the film has been found. No progress has been made in the search for the missing people. I mean, hell, it's hardly seemed like they're even trying. The local cops have been strangely hush about the whole thing, almost like they don't want people asking about it. They literally threatened to arrest me when I kept pressing them for details. There's been a lot of vehicles with tinted windows parked near the theater, surrounding areas. Some even in my own community. And, well, that's the whole situation. I can't focus on anything right now. My brain's scattered and my anxiety's going through the roof. Sue me. What the hell do you expect? Lacey has to be out there somewhere, right? And how the hell is somebody just supposed to disappear into thin air? What the hell kind of film is Mr. Blank? Christ. Getting a headache just thinking about it. My initial grief's been replaced more so by confusion and anger. Might just start searching for answers myself. I won't be alone, though. Rose, Lacey's best friend, and Mike, her brother, just as bent on figuring this out as I am. I'm not going in blind, though. In fact, I have 2 leads. One's more of a shot in the dark, but the other should lead us somewhere concrete. I'll start off with the former. A few weeks ago, I remember my little brother telling me about a strange man he saw carved into a tree. Now, it was allegedly accompanied by messy and frantic repetitions of the word stop around it. I didn't think anything about it at the time, but it might be relevant now. Maybe not. We'll see. The other came up while I was searching for answers online. After feverishly posting about the film on what I considered to be relevant forums and yielding no answers, somebody finally messaged me about it, claiming that they had information that I might like to know. And luckily, they're only a 3-hour drive from here, and are willing to meet me halfway. Is this a bad idea? Probably. Am I going to like what I find? Probably not. But the thought of Lacey being out there and God knows what kind of fucked up situation, I just can't take it. I'm not letting it end like this. And we're off. The person who'd messaged me, online name ScreenGrabber22, told me to call him Jay. And he's agreed to meet up at a diner in a town about an hour away from us, 2 away from him. He seemed genuine enough while I was talking to him online, but intentions can be hard to ascertain over text. With short, still worth a shot, I guess. I'll do anything to figure this out. Mike was all in from the get-go. Suppose I felt safer with him around, given the fact that he stood at about 6'2" and 200 plus pounds, boosting a 650-pound deadlift. Obviously, he didn't like the idea that something had happened to his sister. Hell, I had to stay on my toes just to stop him from knocking me out when he found out that Lacey and I were first dating. He was also pissed as hell at both of his parents for being so complacent about the situation, and the cops for not yielding any results. On the other hand, Rose was wary about the situation at first. I couldn't blame her, really. This shit was weird. But at the end of the day, we all really wanted to find Lacey. Enough so to venture off into what was, ostensibly, a dangerous unknown. The drive was uneventful, which I suppose was a good thing. I had a feeling that the humdrum nature of our little trip wasn't going to last, though. What a seedy-ass place, Mike stated as he stepped out of the vehicle. I couldn't disagree. Flickering fluorescent lights, peeling paint, and a nearly empty parking lot. A place that truly hadn't caught up with the times. Guy's probably bullshitting about knowing anything, Mike continued. If he got us out here to try something, I'll blow off some steam by stomping his shit in. I expected nothing less from him. Anything to find Lacey, but don't do anything stupid. I know you're gonna, Rose said, before taking the lead and heading towards the entrance. Hey, wait up, Mike called out, running after her. I took a deep breath before following suit. This was happening. We were taking matters into our own hands. The place was sparsely populated inside, about 6 other people in total. Green hoodie, black hat, I muttered to myself. Jay's outfit of choice, apparently. Didn't take long to spot him. I was relatively relieved upon realizing that he was on the younger side. He looked slightly older than us, probably early 20s, late teens. Nothing terribly noteworthy about his appearance. A skinny guy with medium-length, dirty blonde hair. Jay? I asked, approaching his table. When he looked up, I realized that there was something off about him. His eyes. They looked a little unhinged. Low-key, though. That's a strong way of describing it, I guess, but there's a reason why that was the first word that popped into my head when my pupils met his. He gave me a slight smile before awkwardly gesturing for us to sit. So, he said, taking a sip of his coffee. His movements were rather jittery. You want to know about the movie? We all nodded at once. He let out a weird noise, like something halfway between a sneer and a cough. But why? How do you even know about it to begin with? Does it matter why? Mike spoke up. We just want to know. Don't tell me you're just about to waste our time. He tended to get quite dramatic sometimes. I'll tell you what you need to know, Jay said after a few moments of silence. All right, get on with it. You guys need to drop it. Stop thinking about it. Christ, Mike said. What the hell did I just say? I'm not wasting your time, Jay responded. I'm saving your lives. Just as Mike seemed to be reaching his wit's end, which wasn't hard to get to, mind you, Rose chimed in. What do you mean? She said. Look, our friend went missing. We're not leaving without something, please. Her tone was a lot softer, which seemed to calm Jay down. I'm sorry that happened, he said, but I don't think you're going to find her. Son of a bitch, Mike said, slamming the table. Jay flinched at the action. Look, I've given you the best advice I can. Just leave it alone. If that's the case, you wouldn't have agreed to meet up. There's clearly something that you feel we should know, I said. No, Jay shook his head. If I left it like that, you would have kept digging deeper. I called you here to convince you to let it go. Not gonna happen, Mike said. So either you tell us something, or you say goodbye to your teeth. Ignore him, I chimed in. But you gotta tell us something, okay? Like, what the hell Mr. Blank is supposed to be. I was getting desperate. My hopes had been spiked, perhaps to an unreasonably high degree, but I still wasn't prepared to just leave it at that. I needed something. I could see Jay's bottom lip quiver just slightly upon hearing the question. He muttered. It looked as if he could hardly muster up an answer. He looked terrified, which in turn terrified me. At one point it seemed as if he were about to cry, but he took a deep breath, seemingly calming himself down. So you guys aren't going to let this go? I shook my head. How are we supposed to? He clicked his tongue in a frustrated tone. His previous face of distress had morphed into something more comparable to anger, as if the whole situation was beginning to bother him something great. Okay, I guess you forced my hand. He whispered something under his breath. Sounded relatively aggressive. Truth be told, Jay's reservation towards the situation was only spiking my interest even more. What was he so afraid of? He gestured towards the exit. Follow me, then. I'll show you something. It was nearly a mutter. Follow you, I thought. All right, then. I'm not a total idiot. Okay, the red flags were sticking out like sore thumbs, but at the end of the day, I suppose this is exactly what we were asking for. In my pocket, I gripped the stiletto knife from Italy that Lacey had gotten me a few months back. Just in case, you know. With all of us on high alert, we walked out of the diner and began following Jay's beat-up Jeep. The subsequent drive wasn't long, probably only 3 or 4 minutes, an inherent symptom of small towns, I guess. He led us to a small motel. Looked kinda dingy, but not terribly so. Nevertheless, it was another cause for concern. He only lived 2 hours away. Why stay the night? He sighed as he exited his vehicle, gesturing us up the stairs. He ascended 3 floors and walked past a few doors before arriving at his room. Mike and Rose walked in first, and I followed. Big mistake. So, what do you want to... Before I could even finish my sentence, my vision went black. I'm not sure how long I was knocked out for, but... When I came to, I was lying on the couch, nursing a splitting headache. Yo, he's awake. Mike's booming voice felt like a hammer to my brain. I looked up and saw he was holding Jay in a headlock. There was a baseball bat lying a few feet away from them. Rose was standing at the foot of the couch, looking relieved that I wasn't dead. Oh, thank God, she said. You won't be thinking anybody once he shows up. I'm trying to save you, fucking idiots, Jay rasped out, struggling for air. What happened wasn't exactly a mystery. Jay had tried taking my head off with a damn bat. With my brain still reeling, I pulled myself off the couch and approached him, all while he struggled against Mike's python-like arms. So, I said, still wincing, what the fuck was that? Jay's face was starting to go beet red, so I gestured for Mike to loosen his grip. He started panting like hell upon being released. Who the hell is Mr. Blank? I asked. I'll ask you one more time, or do you want to explain to the cops why the hell you just fucking assaulted me? His expression had changed drastically. Not so angry anymore. He looked more defeated. I tried, he said in a hoarse voice. Tried to do what? To save you people. To save me. So what the hell was your plan? Knock us out and then what? I don't know, he said nearly in hysterics. I panicked. Didn't know what to do, but I had to get you guys to stop somehow. You forced me to. I get it now, Mike said. You're a crazy guy. We've been talking to a psycho. Good job, guys. Was that it? I thought to myself. Are we just wasting our time talking to a guy who clearly gone off the deep end? I wasn't so sure. I had encounters with criminally insane people before. My father had worked security at a psych ward, and I had visited him there a few times before. This guy, he just didn't fit the bill. I suppose his words sounded genuine. Of course, I couldn't know for sure, so I remained cautious. Jay slumped against the wall, tilting his head back against it. I never could escape him, he said. I don't think anybody ever does. Who? I asked, already expecting the answer I was about to receive. He looked over at me directly. Mr. Blank. His voice quivered. It seemed as if merely saying his name caused him a great deal of discomfort. I don't know where he come from. What he even is. He kept quiet as he talked. We were finally getting what we came here for. He's incomprehensible. Imagine the worst, most visceral nightmare you ever had. That's nothing compared to an encounter with him. You can't outrun him, you can't kill him, can't deal with him in any way. And once he's after you, he won't stop. You just have to pray that you never meet him. The look of absolute grief suddenly washed over his face. But it's too late now. You've tried too hard. He's already on his way. You want to elaborate on that? I asked. He smirked at the question. It was one that unsettled me to my core. The smile wasn't one of joy or relief, not even close. It was more comparable to a smile that somebody in great pain would make upon learning that their misery would soon be coming to an end. I shouldn't have spoken his name again. I guess it doesn't matter. It was the end of the line for me. Suddenly, as if a man possessed, he drilled his elbow into Mike's ribs and began scrambling away from him. He barreled past me and into the washroom, and before I could even try to stop him myself, he locked himself in there. Shit, I muttered. Began banging on the bathroom door. The hell are you doing? I tried talking some sense into you. This is my punishment for failing. What are you talking about? Come on, we'll figure it out. Can't deal with what's happening next, he said through the wood. My nightmares end here. I'll pray that your suffering ends up being less than mine. I'll pray for your friend as well. I suggest you do the same. Come on, don't do anything stupid! Too late. I heard his body slump to the ground moments later. When he finally got the door open, Jay was lying limp on the floor, with an empty, unlabeled pill bottle beside him. Fucking hell, Mike said. Jeez, Rose added, looking understandably horrified. What the hell do we do now? Do we call the cops or something? Fuck no, Mike replied. I'm not dealing with that. Let them find the guy themselves. He overdosed. Simple as that. He turned to me. Not bleeding, are you? I touched the back of my head. Dry. I shook my head. No. Good. No blood. No suspicion, Mike said. Let's get the hell out of here, then. It's not how it works. We also busted the bathroom door down. Remember? I said. He seemed to think for a moment before coming to his final, profound conclusion. Fuck it. I had my own reservations about leaving the situation the way that it was, but Mike was already out the door before I could even say anything else. In the moment, there was nothing I could do but follow him. I can call it selfish, but the situation was beyond helping at that point. If you ask me, I felt somewhat responsible for Jay's death. But if you asked me if I felt somewhat responsible for Jay's death, then I would have answered in the affirmative. The feeling in my stomach as we walked to the car, it wasn't a good one. The drive back was relatively silent. We'd gotten next to no answers. Had a hell of a lot more questions. and had just witnessed a fucking suicide. On top of that, there was somebody following us. I don't think either Mike or Rose had noticed it. The driver was doing a good job of being discreet after all. Suddenly I remember the sketchy vehicle that had been parked around town. I looked back at the vehicle and yup, tinted windows. I don't think I'm going to tell them. Nerves are really high. Abrupt panic probably isn't going to help us here. One thing's for sure, though. This situation has gotten a lot more complicated. Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and thank you for watching tonight's video, or listening to tonight's podcast, and thank you for clicking the thumbs up, the subscribe, the follow, the bell, the whatever helpful thing there is on such a platform. If you want to find your nice Halloween horror audiobook to listen to this year, check out audible.com and look for MrCreepyPasta, because I got a whole bunch of books over there. Books like Tales from the Gas Station. And as always, I want to give a very big thank you to everybody who is supporting me on Patreon. If you guys have been supporting me on Patreon, or if you're considering doing so, then know that I just added in a couple of cool things for the loyalty program because I found out that I could. I had no idea that I could do that. So now, you guys should be getting some cool things in the mail brought to you by Patreon that are pretty cool. They support the channel as well. Oh, getting to the point though, a huge thank you to patrons such as Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Brian Arce, Bobby Karman, Stephanie Butler, Tristain Pelton, Chance Burnett, Diana Kraus, William King, Heather McDonald, Reaper61167, Alex the Sandwich, Darth Miver, Micah Ortiz, Satanic Aries, Ness69420, aisodoehtraed with 2 exclamation points, Nessie, Ronny Hansen, Bardohawk764, Melancholy Corpse, Ferb, Harley, Billy Morrow, Madam Skullbunny, Sashi Suzaku, Grizzly Olsen.pro, Caden the Spooky Boy, Zane Nightshade, My Body Sounds Like Rice Krispies, Ashwood, Lord of the Weebs, Jay, Miss Exandra, Mr. Unsettling Spaghetti, Suji Campbell, Stricken, Azarine Fox, Fried Chicken 12, Freddy Krueger, Ty Nanny, Michael Scarborough, Infernal One, Lisa Cottrell, Caspian, Jordan Elves, Hades Nephew, Tater Chip, Acid System, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation Society, Cryptic Nightmares, Kiri the Sloth, Tommy Green, Fester's Lampshade, Sky Harbor, Nina Smith, Nico Cayo, Rafael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, Aaron Stormcrow, Daniel Polson, Trey Smiles, and Corey Kenshin. Thank you guys so much, so much for being a part of the Patreon and helping me keep the lights on and helping me get exclusive stories and everything that we do on the channel here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Thank everybody in the description, and thank you guys who have stayed to this part of the video. It really means so much to me. I hope you all have a very happy Halloween and sweet dreams.